Welcome one and all. We are ready to go here. Actually, we've got the LLL Weekly here coming up. If you guys aren't sure what you are tuned into, this is going to be a weekly show, as the name implies. We're actually going to rename it soon to the LLL Weekly Show, just for the people that are mentally challenged, as I would put it that much. So, what can I tell you guys? First, we're going to start off with a show match here between two great players. Then we're going to have a bit of discussion and a overview of recent tournament results. So, that said, I am, of course, Martijn, aka Mommels. And I'm joined here by Folon from Liquipedia. Hey, man.
Hello.
As well as Maven from Ghost of Gamers. Hey, man.
Yo, 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 what's up?
Here we go. Dave will be a regular recurring guest here, and we'll be discussing the tournament section, the tournament review most of all. And of course our players here, Entity and Socke. I gotta say, Entity, a little introduction, he's part of the LowLandLions team indeed, as well as I am, so there's the link in. And actually, he was, interestingly enough, one of the players in the first TL replay, featured replay. So this guy goes way back in the Starcraft community, is active in Starcraft II as well, attended DreamHack as I guess the most notable event. And on the other hand, we've got Socke. Of course, Socke needs little to no introduction. One of the greatest Protoss players out there. Very strong, known for his use of Phoenixes. So with that said, we are going to get this show going momentarily.
Yeah, and just knowing that on the Phoenixes, I mean, the Phoenixes just like 1 or 2 days ago, depending on where you're at, got buffed. And by buffed, I mean they got their building time decreased. So you're going to have a lot more Phoenixes in a shorter amount of time.
Yep, indeed. And there we go. Ready, ready, ready. So let's go into the next phase of the show. Tick tock, tick tock. And indeed, the LLL Weekly, let me tell you guys a bit, because I see a lot of questions. What is LLL? The LLL Weekly is actually the LowLandLions team, a programming team which focuses on the Benelux, which is Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. Of course,
Martijn, you still here, man?
And yeah, indeed. And that said, there we go with this match. We've got on at the 9 o'clock actually here, Socke. I gotta say, Socke, one of the best Protoss players out there, so it's good to see him here and in our first full show as the Cyan Protoss. And meanwhile, at the 6, we got Entity as the Green Terran. Gotta say, close air distances, Phoenixes. Well, yes, I don't want to make any predictions, but definitely viable. What do you guys think? Maven, what are your thoughts on this map? Any predictions?
Well, I mean, seeing as they're going to be close positioned, before the patch was live, I mean, I was doing a lot of cloak banshees, especially when we were close position on 4-player map. You go out scout, and if you see that you're close by air, Phoenixes are really, really tough to handle, especially as Protoss, because it requires you to have a robotics facility as soon as possible.
Well, hey, that might actually be a good way of nullifying any kind of Phoenix play by getting that cloak. But then again, with the buffed Phoenixes, with that build time, assuming we are going to be a Phoenix team today, Phoenixes against Banshees, overall, not a fair fight, is it?
Well, I mean,
as Artosis would say, pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. And we see Entity's little SCVs trying to do as much annoying stuff as possible, shipping at some HP of one of the pros.
Yeah, usually you see the Protoss players do a lot more harassment. Of course, that's because their shields regen so quick in Starcraft II. In Starcraft 1, it took a lot longer, but then again, I think they regen in combat as well. Folon, you would probably know that as the Liquipedia superhero.
Yeah, they did. It was much slower though, and in Starcraft 2, like, they need to not be attacking or being attacked, and then it takes a few seconds, and then it starts to regen, and then it's really fast.
Yep, exactly. Very,
It's
very
like
fast.
it's way faster than Zerg regeneration.
It's insanely fast. I gotta say, the first time I saw that, I was like, wait a minute, that can't be right. Then I realized that as long as you keep me in combat, it's not so bad. But still, that's quite a chore.
Actually, we see a Marine coming out to the backside of the mineral line of Socke here from Entity. He is currently being chased by Sellet.
What do you guys think about the probes and gas right now? He's got 3 and 2 on the simulators. I think it's a bit of a mistake there. You know, you'd think he'd have 3 and 3 on the gas.
It's probably a mistake.
And there we go.
Isn't that, yeah, that's actually something the new patch included, the current harvester count. So I guess we're going to see soon if players will actually get to utilize that. It now displays how many harvesters you have working on a certain gas geyser. So hey, a little note, you know, that's why you read the patch notes, little stuff like that gets included.
I don't think anyone uses that.
I use it when
And
scouting.
No pro players, I don't think.
Yeah, I clicked the
right.
geyser to see how much gas has been mined, or you know the mineral patches to see how long he's been mining an expansion. But that's the only time I actually use it. Never to check if I have enough workers on there. Gotta say, 2K opening.
Look at
right
me,
here.
I just won A.
And look at that, in production already the Phoenixes. Oh god. Phoenix power?
Yeah, so yeah, we are going to be seeing some Phoenixes coming out of Socke right here, and at the same time from Entity, we're going to be seeing Blue Flame Hellions. Coupled with a medevac, so he's going to be trying for his own drop, and well, let's say he's not going to be that happy that he's going to be seeing Phoenixes at the backside of Socke's base.
Yeah, Blue Flame Hellions was actually a pretty strong opening because you could get to those workers, and you didn't have to worry too much about your dropship getting sniped. Now with the Phoenixes being that viable, though, I think that changed a lot. Oh, and here we go. Phoenix is going in, going right for the mule. That's definitely the right call there. Killing off a mule, even though it's a timed unit, makes a big difference in the resources. Well, what are your thoughts on that? Would you guys rather take out a worker that mines more over time, or rather, to cut off that momentary?
Definitely mule.
Yeah.
It's always mule, I think. Yeah. Did he get a reactor on that barracks, by the way?
No, he got a tech lab
really
for the
needs
upgrade.
that. Oh. Well, I reckon we'll see either another barracks or an engineering bay then. Or maybe some Vikings. I'm not... You can defend pretty well with Vikings, because you can repair them in your own base. But, he's already got 4 Phoenixes.
Have some massive
5th one on the way, probably.
Yeah, I mean, going for the Vikings when your opponent's got so many Phoenixes already, I can't really say I agree with it, because I mean, just getting a lot more barracks units, of course, I mean Marines, is probably a lot better than trying to keep up with the Viking counts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult trying to catch up. For defense, I don't think they're bad, because if they are attacked, then you still have your Marines on the ground, and you can repair the Viking.
Yeah, of course, but I mean, then you can use the gas to
Oop, Hellion's getting in there.
and then just put up some turrets.
Hellion's getting in there and killing off a lot of these probes. The probes moved everywhere. And a good way of actually splitting your probes out, if they do get harassed by Hellion, select all your probes, hit S, and then just start clicking them away.
It seems a little bit overconfident by Socke. Like, if you have air superiority, there should never ever be drops occurring in your base.
Yep, and oh, look at that. He even
So
sniped
I have no idea how he missed
base
that.
right now.
Yeah, and I mean, that's another beauty of the Phoenix is due to their having, like, the, what's it called? The moving shot, I think is the term for it.
We'll call it skating. I've always called it skating. See, it looks like they're just sliding along.
I've never heard that, but I like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
Well,
but yeah, as you said, he's going to be using the Vikings
dubbed
for
our
defense.
first slang. Really, skating
Yes.
is now the term to describe Phoenix movement.
We should probably find a tune for that as well.
Yep.
One time or another.
I gotta say, this amount of Vikings and Marines should easily be able to hold off any kind of aggression from the Phoenixes, so at least he's gonna be able to expand here safely.
Yeah. Yeah, the Vikings have much more range. As long as he stays in his base, he can take pop shots at them and run back to his Marines. And there's not really much the Phoenixes can do. So he should be pretty safe from any type of Phoenix harass at the moment. And the Protoss army, like the ground army, isn't too big, so this is looking like a fairly safe expansion.
Yep, and he's picking up the occasional SCV and slowly but surely getting ahead in the
Yeah.
work count. But if you consider how many workers he managed to kill with his Blue Flame Hellions, regardless of the Phoenixes, they're not that far apart. 32 SCVs versus 40 probes. Of course, you got the mules kicking in, so it's not that far apart.
Yeah, but I really, really like the transitioning coming now from Socke. I mean, he went Phoenixes in the early stages to kind of force Entity to build a lot of Marines. I mean, I don't think he has any Marauder out. No, he's only got 19 Marines out, and now he's going to be getting that Robotics Bay up and start producing Colossi.
Then again, at the same time, you're also already going to have a lot of Vikings out at least, and now he's getting Cloak on his Banshees. Oh, the Banshees with Cloak now sneaking on in. There's no observers out yet, is there?
Did he get an observer before the? Ooh.
No observers yet. So what is he going to do to counter this one? Socke might have just gotten caught with his pants down.
Yeah, and at the same time, he's going to be using a couple of Hellions to do even more damage to the probes. But like you said, there's really nothing that he can do against these Cloaked Banshee until they run out of energy, which should actually happen pretty soon.
Yep, one runs out of energy now. The other one is still cloaked away. Going for the pylon now. If he gets that, that's actually kind of a big deal. No, does not get the kill on that. But yeah, a nice little move by Entity there. Going for the cloaked Banshees. Not something that Socke expected, even though he should have gotten plenty of scouting information with those Phoenixes. I mean, a big benefit of having those Phoenixes is moving all over and over your opponent's base. So he should have seen this coming. Did not, however, and he got caught with his German Lederhosen down.
I like how he sent in the Hellions when all the probes ran to the natural. Excellent play.
Yep, and
but yeah, he's going to continue using these two starports for Banshees, so that's actually making good use of a previous investment.
Yeah, and remember that Vikings and Phoenixes are the two best units you can probably have against Colossi, which is where the transition for Socke is going.
Yeah, but I mean, right now the air superiority definitely goes to Socke. But like you said, the range and coupled with the Marines, I don't know. I can't say who's going to be coming out on top.
Hellions one again doing a run by, and very smart pulling those probes between the geysers. If you same thing with Zerglings. If you're getting chased by Zerglings, pull them into small funnels like behind the gas or behind a mineral patch, and the Zerglings will all line up for you, melt them all at once. The same goes, of course, for units like these probes going after the Hellions. Just get them stuck behind the gas, and suddenly they all line up for you for your beautiful Hellion shots.
Yeah, and at the same time, we do see that Stim is already researched, and also Combat Shield is going to be able to get up in a couple of seconds.
Entity being very smart, very disciplined, taking off the pylons at the edges. Normally you put those pylons there as spotter pylons, but it does create an inherent weakness, basically, that they can get easily taken out. Well, we do have an observer over this army, so the Banshees are not going to do too well, though they go down right away. Can he hold it up here? It's going to be tough here. There's a lot of bio to deal with.
Yeah, but all the bio is currently getting melted.
This glass is finally going down. It took so long.
That took way too long. I don't know. It seemed like if all the air units focused fire at the Colossus, it would have gone down a lot sooner.
I think losing his Banshee that quick into the fight was quite rough. And again, with the Hellions now arriving in, trying to kill off more probes here in the main. Take whatever shots again. Meanwhile, once again, the Phoenixes are trying to do their harassment. Are going to come back here and hopefully.
Nice multitasking,
Entity is showing that he's got everything a pro gamer needs. This is like inherent mechanics, being able to attack like that. And even though it looked like Socke was going to move out, just drop into Hellions, pull him, make it force him to pull his army back, and no problem. And now look at the work count: 61 SCVs versus 40 probes.
Yeah, what I really like about this is he's getting Thors, and I mean, people underestimate the Thor versus Phoenixes, because Phoenixes is a light unit, and if they accidentally clump up, it's going to be the same thing as if it's going against Mutalisks. They're going to be taking heavy damage.
Yeah, I was about to point out that this is probably where we're gonna see Entity's dislike of Marauders into play, in that he's getting 2 factories with Tech Labs. So I suspected either, tanks or Goliaths.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys
also
don't know,
massive Phoenix raid.
Yeah, indeed. If you guys don't know, Entity actually hates Marauders with a vengeance. There's no limit to how much he despises the unit.
Well, it is a little bit ugly, but
I mean, Hanks is an awfully designed unit. And look at that, nice little marine drop onto the third of Socke here. Even though the Phoenixes are out in such high numbers, Entity is easily able to get those drops in repeatedly, so it's a very good play from him. So the third now up for both guys now, and it seems to have a bit stabilized. Both of these guys getting an even amount of workers, but look at that. 5 Thors right now out for Entity. That's a scary army, man.
yeah, I mean, the Thors are probably the best way to handle both Phoenixes and Colossi at the same time. I can't think of any better idea to do.
He's gonna bring a bunch of SCVs, so look, actually move out.
Is long
Oh
distance
wait, where
mining.
are those going?
Ooh, trying to get some minerals, stealing them away from the high yield there. If he gets his high yield up, I will go as far as to say is that he's going to be hugely ahead, regardless of what Socke can really do. This expansion comes up, it's going to be so huge.
I'm just worried about, well, he does have two Stargates, right? So he might get some Void Rays, and Void Rays are pretty good against Thors. So I'm really wondering what Socke is gonna do once he sees, 7 Thors
could get
stomping down
carrier.
his main.
Oh, we see it right here. Look at that. The small force by Socke is getting chased away. He's trying to keep his Colossi alive, but no, cannot get away from the Vikings in time. Now the rest of the army for Socke is also getting demolished there. The Phoenix is going down. Carriers indeed coming up, but in slow amounts. Carrier is not enough, and good game is called. Entity takes a win here. Oh man, I gotta say,
That was pretty sweet.
that was a pretty sweet
Holy
match
shit.
right there.
And you were saying Phoenixes were overpowered.
Thor's overpowered, man. Wow.
Yeah, well,
That said, we're going to head into a match discussion just briefly, so stay tuned. There we go. We are back. We are watching the LLL Weekly. We just had an epic show match between Entity and Socke. Hey guys, did you guys make your way in? Oh, there we go. I see Socke in there. Hey man, what's up?
Yeah, just lost. I don't know. Too much heroes, and I don't know. I didn't have good. I didn't have that much map control, even though I had Phoenix. I don't know. Should have scouted better, like, or watched the minimap more closely. Guess that's what it came to. Losing too much to drops.
I see. Entity, what do you think was the main factor in your win there? As he forgets his Pushataki.
No, I was just coughing. I have a very bad cold. That's
I'm
why
sorry.
I didn't respond immediately. But what did you ask me exactly? I forgot.
What do you think was the most important factor in your win there this game, even though you dealt with those invincible Phoenixes?
I think it's mainly that Socke normally beats me, and he probably, he may have taken me a little bit lightly.
Ooh, is that true, Socke? Did you underestimate Entity here?
No, not really. But he was starting to play really fancy, so like he usually does. So I thought I could maybe just jump in. And also, I just lost way too many probes to his heroes, so I couldn't really get a nice army going. I don't know. And like the counter marines, I need Colossus. Against Thor, I think Colossus are also best probably. There's all these Vikings, and against Vikings I should get, but they died at Thor's. So I think his composition is pretty good, but the main point was that I just lost way too much to the Harrows. Also, like, I didn't see the Banshees coming. Like, the last time I looked, there was like a reactor on the starboard. Then a minute or two later, there's like 2 cloak Banshees that I couldn't mind for. Lots of small, like, mistakes going together.
Yeah, definitely the RAS was very good there. And, with that said, thank you guys for playing this match. It actually is going to mean that we are going to transition into the next section, the Unit of the Week discussion.
Yeah, no problem. Have a nice day.
There we go. We are back here on the LowLandLions Weekly. So the discussion is going to be on Phoenixes. Socke, that's why I'm telling you this. To stay here. Phoenixes are probably one of your trademark units. You seem to love Phoenixes a lot. What do you think of their strong suits?
I guess it's mostly their mobility. It's like, I think, maybe the fastest unit in the game, together with like Mutalisk and Beetlings and Hellions. So it's like the only real quick unit we have as Protoss. So it's nice to get map control with those, and also Harrows with them is really good.
Indeed. And we just saw a patch change. Of course, the build time was changed. What are your thoughts on the change? Was it needed, or are you like, oh my god, that's so awesome now? What are your thoughts on the patch change?
I think against Zerg they were already pretty strong, so that might be a bit too much. I think Phoenix might get a little bit too strong like that early in the game against Zerg. Against Terran they were pretty hard to use. I mean, against the bio-heavy player they were not really that much use. Against like one-on-one builds they were pretty good. So I hope to I hope to get some builds to use them in PvT properly, even if the enemy goes like fast expansion and mass bio. But I think even with those changes it's not really that viable.
I see. Yeah, it's a build that seems to be such a huge investment. It takes away from your gateway army so much. I think that's the biggest downfall of Phoenixes, definitely.
Do you think it will open up a new option in Protoss versus Protoss?
Phoenixes were useful before, like if the enemy went robotics and you went for a starboard with Phoenix. I think you will like even slightly ahead build otherwise, but the thing is, if you go for quick Phoenix, you still at a 4 gate. If the enemy goes for blink stalkers, you're also behind. It's just like it was there in the like build order poker, like rock paper scissors. It was there before. Now it's a bit stronger, but it's still like a lot of builds. It just auto loses to in PvP.
I think that's actually a very, very good analysis of that. I know Entity is not feeling too well, so we're not going to have him do too much talking. Or are we, Entity? Are you still here?
I can probably conjure up a word or two if I have to.
Okay, well, Phoenixes, your thoughts. I know after the patch change, you raged up a storm and went on a losing streak dealing with Phoenixes. What are your thoughts? Just let it out.
Okay, first of all, I think it's no yelling. Okay, I'll stay in check then. I think it was an unnecessary change, not taking into account PvZ because I don't know anything about that matchup. But in TVP, I think it's a little ridiculous when a single Stargate build can maintain air control over a double starboard build. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I also think that any Phoenix opening provides you with a large enough window to expand safely against any Terran tech build. Obviously, it's not a good opening against one base M&M play, but I think it's very, very effective against any tech build. You have free map control, you deny all scouting, you can pick off units here and there, particularly mules. It just provides him with such a huge economical advantage. It seems impossible for me to overcome unless he makes a mistake here and there. So it's just one more change in a long list of changes from Blizzard, forcing Terran players to go either one base M&M or fast expansion into even more M&M. And it seems very linear and predictable and not very interesting to me.
Some harsh words there, definitely, but well-grounded, and though he's Entity is totally dismissive of Phoenix's. I think in essence you guys said a lot of the same things. Against a mass bio opening, it's not going to be that good, but against tech openings, it's very dominant. So do you feel at all that Entity has a point in that it forces heavy bio Socke? Or that that is kind of starting to be the only option in PvT.
Well, it's not like Phoenixes are seen that common. I mean, there's a lot of bio tank pushes. Some people play really passive and get huge mech army or bench areas first. I think it's just if you want to go Banshee first and encounter Phoenix player, it's no use. I mean, that could happen before the patch. That can happen now. But, I mean, still, a lot of the times you'll be fine with 1-on-1 build, because a lot of times the Protoss player is not going to go Phoenix because he knows that he's just gonna auto lose to a fast expansion bio play.
So the idea is
I don't think it's such a huge deal.
So the idea, it becomes kind of build order poker. If you end up against a tech build and you go Phoenixes, then you have a very good chance, at least. You don't have an automatic win, but you have a very good chance. But if he goes mass bio, then you're pretty much just all kinds of screwed.
Yeah, it's true. It's it was like that before the patch. It's that way now. The only difference is I get to save a chrono booster too, and that's about it.
Right, but that's exactly the point, though. I mean, before the patch, the situation was bad, and they've only made it worse. They implement the change which does not fix a problem. It only creates a worse one.
I think they were seeing problems with proto scouting. So all the changes were about proto scouting. I think they overdid it mainly because of PvZ. But I think they made scouting for protos a bit more cheap. It cost a lot of gas protos to scout at all. Observers cost 100 gas, Phoenix cost 100 gas. The buildings for that needed a lot of gas. Terran could just claw the barracks and Zerg at their overlords, all for mineral only. So just make scouting a bit easier. I think they wanted to address that with the recent changes.
Yeah, I do agree that with what Entity is saying, that it seems like build order poker is far more dominant in Starcraft II than it is in Starcraft 1. Part of that may be that Starcraft II isn't as played out yet, so it's still rather tough to. So there's still a lot more viable than there would be in a game that like Starcraft 1 that's been played for so many years. What are your thoughts on that? Do you guys think that the build order poker, just guessing what build you do and either you directly
you need to call it rock paper scissors, because you're gonna
rock paper
you're gonna
scissors.
upset a lot of poker players.
Poker players. We'll call it rock paper scissors then. The rock paper scissors builds, or poker build order, like I call it. You just do a build, and either you counter your opponent and you win, or you lose. It's kind of blind. It seems very dominant in StarCraft 2 compared to StarCraft 1, where you only had a few viable builds really, and the matchups were kind of worked out. Do you guys think that build order poker, or rock paper scissors, as Folon does like to call it, is going to get less when people play more StarCraft 2?
I would like to respond to that, actually. Let me give you an example. For example, in Terran versus Protoss, which is the only matchup I care about, really. Suppose I scout after my barracks instead of after my depot, and he's 16 Nexus. If I decided to go for a tech build, I have already lost at that point, because there's no way for me to kill him before he has a huge number of gateway units. If I play against someone like Bishu or White Route, for example, they often mix in DT builds. This is something that I haven't seen Socke do very often, so I wasn't really too worried about it. But sometimes you don't want to give up too much mobility to a single DT, so you need a fast Raven. What if you expect DTs and he brings a bunch of Phoenixes into your base? It becomes almost impossible to save your Raven. And even if you do manage to save your Raven, it's pretty crappy because it'll die very, very quickly. It's always behind your army. And it just seems like you pick one strategy and you hope it's the correct one, and very often it isn't, and then you simply lose.
Socke, your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, it's from his TVP perspective, but I've got like both, or like I've got it in all three matchups.
Yeah, and PvP
like a lot of
as
things
well.
where I can just outright lose or win. Yeah, PvP is, I guess, the worst match of all of them. But
Yeah, I want to
think
comment on
if
this.
the maps are gonna get bigger, gonna become less of a problem. And
Yes.
also, I don't know.
Yeah. But the thing is, just gonna be intercepting everything here. The thing right now is that there's not really a safe way to go into macro mode. There's not really a safe way to go slow into macro mode, fast expand, or you're teching and it takes too long to actually caught up with someone who is fast expanding if you're not going to be doing it all in. And I mean, as time progresses, that's probably going to change, especially with the new maps that the GSL are going to be taking in. Bigger maps, as people have said, is also going to be one of the things that will make this happen.
Okay, well, I think this is a very good point Maven makes there. That said, I've got one question from the audience here for both you guys. I'll ask it to Socke first. Do you think that Protoss now has more options, a bigger variety to fight Terran than Terran does to fight Protoss?
No, I totally disagree. There's like 1,000,002 different builds Terran can do. I mean, like all those, like, you know, Banshee, Raven, Marine, Thor, Tank, and like take 2 of those and just add SCVs. Like so many different timing pushes they can do, and it's so easy to die to any of them. They've also got a lot of viable options just to like defend really fast, be defensive with tanks. I mean, both got a lot of got a lot of options. So I think it's a really complicated matchup at the moment. Not like there's just one style, but both races have a lot of options.
Yep, I would think
Maybe
that as
Pro's
well.
got some more now, changes, but I wouldn't really say they have more different options available.
I see, because of course Terran does have the most units in the game currently. Entity, the same question. Do you think that Protoss has more options or less options than the Terran they're fighting in this matchup?
They have the same number of options, it's just that certain strategies are more effective now. It also, like Maven said, depends a lot on the maps that are being played. And GSL is making strides towards a more balanced map pool. I believe they removed Blistering Sands, Delta Quadrant, and another couple of maps. And those maps definitely weren't very good. They were, well, poorly designed. That's not to say that the GSL maps will be any better, because some of them, I've seen them, are very, very large. And the problem with large maps is that this game isn't really designed to be played on large maps like Brood War was. And the reason for that is, if you're playing on a large map, in TVP for example, it's very, very difficult to deal with all of the different ways that Protoss can attack you while trying to establish a macro game. Whereas Protoss can establish a macro game, knowing that they have more time to react than Terran does to their attacks. Because of, you know, warp and how easy that whole thing works.
So that's a very interesting perspective. Well, I hope that gives the guys in chat some insight into what the pros think here. And with that said, we're going to wrap up the discussion here. On the unit of the week on the question and answer section. And we're actually going to go on to a review of recent tournament results, GSL, Black Dragon League. But first, we're going to say goodbye to our players. We're going to say goodbye to Entity and Socke. Thank you guys both a lot for coming out here and doing this first show with me.
Yeah, no problem.
No problem.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers.
And yeah, this is where Maven and Folon are going to be a bit more focal. I figured we'd approach this without including today's matches. So if you haven't watched GSL today, don't worry, we're not going to be discussing today's matches. Assuming that's, we're going to give you guys a 24-hour grace period to actually watch the matches. So that ends up with I think we all know which match we really want to talk about, right? Maven, what are your thoughts on the one match we all want to discuss?
Well, this is a pretty hard one. I mean, we all know that everyone loves Sweden, and there's this particular player that went all the way to Korea, came to round of 4, and played the most amazing TVT that Starcraft II has ever seen. I mean, that might be a match that we should talk a little about. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think I've heard about that guy, this Swede. What do you think, Folan? What is the match to watch this week?
Can I drop to Jin Ball because
and for those of you who haven't
well,
seen
everyone should go and watch Jinro versus Ensnare on Lost Temple if you haven't yet. What are you doing here? Go watch it. Oh.
Well, no. Wait till the show's over, then go watch it. In that order.
There was no end to Maven's sentence, I don't think. I don't know.
It's okay.
I think I have a little bit of latency.
Hopefully it's worked out. But yeah, Jinro
maybe
versus
do some
Ensnare.
reconnecting action.
I gotta say, TVT Lost Temple. I've seen about 1,000,000,001 TVTs on Lost Temple, and they all seem to go. I can tell you close air distances. They all seem to go on forever and ever, but rarely ever until you see a player get mined out. Like how amazing was that? The reason I think Ensnare lost was purely because he had a larger income early on. He had more mules, and he was mined out faster. Otherwise, he would have kept up.
Yeah, Jinro took 12. That's the last base, right?
Yep. So
he still had minerals.
Well, I mean, I think part of the reason to why Jinro actually won in the late game as well, paired with that he had a couple of minerals left when Ensnare was mined out, is because he actually won a lot of the fights, made Ensnare produce a lot more units as well compared to what Jinro has, because Jinro's positioning was a little bit better, his drops did a little bit more damage, and so on and so on. I mean, it's not just that, he was having a little bit less good economy in the early game, so that's why he won in the late game. You can say that, but it's not entirely the truth.
Well, it's having open armies. What was that, Fallen?
Having a very good economy like Ensnare had a bit earlier, it enables you to make an army now and go attack him and kill him. But that's exactly the way that Jinro was playing. Have your tanks sieged up, have him run into it, and what's his face? Oh, Ensnare, he couldn't kill Jinro off, and then when that was over, Jinro was like, I still have my 12 o'clock. And he could take it and just have enough resources to, make the Vikings, make the battlecruisers, keep making marines and tanks, etc.
Yep. And there's one thing about Jinro's play that I don't understand at all. If you guys remember, at some point when he was going battlecruisers, he decided it would be a good idea to land his Vikings in Ensnare's main and go Viking harass and lose all his Vikings while going battlecruisers. Yeah. Does that make any sense to you at all, Folan?
It was weird, but I think that because I was very worried at that point, because you need that Viking air control to be able to go battlecruisers. But I think that he had more starports than the observer showed us. He had 2 at the island, he had 1 in his base, and I think there were 2 more in his natural that we haven't seen or something. Because when those Vikings were dead, he already had a massive force of Vikings again. So I think that might have been something that we missed. But yeah, if you can replenish your Vikings that fast, then it's not a problem.
I think he'd alright, I'm gonna go into your base, please come here with your Vikings, and I got so many Vikings that I can take out all of yours, and 2 seconds later I'll have the same count once again, with the battlecruiser. But he also did a little bit of
some supply to maybe put the, maybe freed up some supply so the battlecruisers could start building and then replenish the Vikings.
I don't know,
The
man.
thing that I think though that
I would never sacrifice Vikings of all units to make room for my battlecruisers. I would throw the kitchen sink at ensnare before actually just sacrificing Vikings.
maybe it was a maybe he didn't judge the situation as well, and thought he could do more damage with them than he did.
Or
but,
he
in the
panicked.
end, it didn't really matter. I don't know. I doubt that, but
Yeah, well, I
you
mean,
can
he
see
did
his
a little
face.
bit
He
of
was so concentrated.
Well, he was really happy afterwards. I mean, those shots that they, that they showed
Yeah,
after. I think it was the
Yeah,
happiest guy I've
definitely.
ever seen on a GSL stream.
Seriously, I've never seen General show that much emotion, or any player really show that much emotion. It was like he won the finals of the GSL 3.
He's always a pretty happy guy, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this happy, he was almost in tears, man, when he went to Ensnare. Of course, Ensnare's with OGS, so I'm sure. I guess they do a good amount of practicing as well, so it must have been quite troublesome to play for someone you're living in the same house with.
Yeah, they're always weird games.
And that said, that's
Like it can be awkward.
Yeah.
But I think that the thing that we really want to discuss is not the game, but what it means for Starcraft II TVT in general. And this is a point that we cannot mention today's matches.
I'll
That's
just
all.
a brief,
I overslept.
just to
I
make
can-
sure it's not too bad.
It's not a secret that there were TVTs played because there's 3 Terrans in that group, and I think we can safely say that one Terran played another Terran, and we can start. Well, I don't want to give away too much, I guess, but
You don't have to give away
you
results. You can talk
could
about
see
the
a
match. Don't give
follow-up
away the
of
results.
the. Yeah, you could see a follow-up of the thing that Arctosis has been stressing. If you are ahead, get more ahead, and he mainly means don't use your army to kill more stuff, but he means it in the kind of economic way that we've seen Jinro do. And this is a super duper important point to make, that we finally will see an end, well, at least I hope, to the Terran versus Terrans that just consists of Terran armies running into the other guy's tanks and getting completely demolished, and the other guy thinking, okay, well, I can attack him now, and sieging his tanks, running into the first guy's siege tanks and dying completely as well.
That's something
So-
actually that we see a lot in Europe, though. I mean, I've seen a lot of TVTs in Europe take forever. So General is probably a bit more used to this in Korea now. When GSL matches,
We've
I've
seen
never
it in
seen
Brood
TVT
War
go this
at the-
long.
I mean, Martijn, I just wanted to state that what he means is that Jinro has a lot of patience. I mean, all of the Europeans that I see now, the Muslim, Goody, Show, all of the Terran players from Europe, they're, of course, they're like setting up the siege line exactly like they do in Korea. But the thing is, they don't have the patience to sit by, take an expansion. They're like, alright, I'm a little bit ahead, I can just push in. And they push in into a lot of siege tanks, and even if the score is even, because you had like the upper hand before, you actually lost and you didn't gain anything from the fight. You just lost your advantage, and that's what we're not seeing in the game between Jinro and the Snare. They were just sieging up in different positions and then taking more expansions, gaining ground as they come.
I'd like to know that I see it a lot
Yeah.
in Europe, though, at a if not the top level, the sub-top level. Players that are like the top 5 to 10 Terran players, they do this a lot. They play a very patient game. I'm sure it's something that
it's
General has
just
encountered a
good
lot.
that we're starting to see it in. It's just good that we're gonna see it. That we're starting to see it in Korea now as well, because the Koreans are very, studious, mechanical practice kind of players who practice this one timing, and you can see it in their games that they like to hit, one timing, grab all the SCVs and just go for it. We've seen that in all the matchups throughout many of the games,
Yes.
and yeah, and we're finally gonna see stuff like, okay, I don't have to run into him, I just have to run at his front, siege up there, and then take 2 expansions behind my army.
Yeah.
And that's, the better way to play. And I'm about as jubilant about it as Artosis is. If you watch that VOD, he will explain exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And because let's be fair, he played Zerg, he switched to Protoss, but in his heart, I think that Artosis is a Terran player. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up switching.
Well,
But yeah, he explains it very
would
well.
be fitting. I mean, I think mostly important though. It's important to note that this match was a bit of a turnaround. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but most Koreans that have been playing GSL have been, mostly during the tournament phase, less so during the group phase. It was awful. Like, these are amazing players, but they're playing an awful game. Oh, just preparing one timing attack and then just running in and aim moving forward, like go, and it was horrendous to watch. I'm sorry, I know this is Starcraft, and whenever we talk about Korea, we show the utmost respect, and I've got the utmost respect for the abilities, but not the play that they showed in GSL so far. There was way too much just hitting a timing attack and hoping to win it with that, and that is not good play. It's awful. What do you think, Roland?
Even the Korean netizens complain about it, or that's what I heard, at least. But yeah, at one point, like early Code A matches, I wasn't even motivated to watch. I actually didn't, like, apart from the foreigners, I've hardly seen any early Code A matches just because of that very reason.
Oh, dude, that's one recommendation I'll make to everyone in the audience. The best way to watch Code A is not watch it at all.
Well, I mean, the thing is now that they actually realize that no one is watching the Code A as much, and so they set the timing of the Code S matches to, instead of having a set time, that you said, alright, 10 minutes after the Code A is finished, we're going to be starting the Code S. So you actually don't know exact timing for when the Code S starts. I mean, it could be like differences within an hour, because like if one group, if the Code A matches, is like 100% like early rushes, 6 pool, marine all-ins, whatever you want, the Code S matches are going to be coming up so much faster, and if there's like a TVT that takes an hour long in the Code A, it's going to be getting out an hour later.
It's going to be.
And there's going to be tons of people tuning in that actually want to see Code S.
Yep.
Yeah.
Profit.
Exactly.
That's one way to push it for your account. And that said, we've talked enough about General versus Check as amazing as General versus Snare as amazing as the match was, and that's actually another game, General versus Check. Don't watch. It was probably the most awful match we've seen so far in GSL Code S. It just
was
pains
it?
me.
It wasn't
Dude,
like
it's the match where
it had a mistake, but it wasn't super bad.
Well, General catched an early overlord, so it's like, oh my god, he's usually heading against Check, and then he doesn't wall off properly, and Zerglings run into his main, and you just kind of...
Yeah. I don't know. I was like, at first you're like, he's gonna win this for sure, and then that happens, and you're, shit, he's like thoroughly fucked, if you'll excuse my French. But after that, you're just rooting for him to, make it through. So I didn't mind watching that as much.
But
yeah, I don't know.
From a high level
it's
standpoint.
It's probably not a. Yeah, it's probably not a match to recommend if you want to put it like that.
Yeah, but of course,
at least
we're Europe-based
tomorrow we have
show.
July.
Sorry, what was that, Maven?
Well, I got some delay, so you'll excuse me if I interrupt sometimes. Tomorrow there's actually a guy in Code A that I really want to be seeing his games. It's July Zerg. Even though it's a CVC, it's going to be real amazing to see what he's going to be coming up with.
July, of course, is a Starcraft I superhero, so I expect a lot of him.
Golden Mouse, baby.
Exactly. I'm kind of sad he's in Code A, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's due to practice.
Yeah, he's one of the people that I'm pretty confident about that he will do better. Like soon-ish.
Yeah, he switched to StarCraft II. Was it between GSL 2 and 3 or during GSL 2? It wasn't that long ago, was it?
I'm not sure. After beta, I know that much.
Mm-hmm. Well, that said, and of course, there's been one other big foreigner match that a lot of hype has been about: Jinro versus Hydra. What were you guys the thought on that match? In my opinion, it was most of a kind of unfortunate that it had to happen on Jungle Base in a TVZ. But what were your thoughts, full on?
Coin flip. In that, well, not that I'd leave it to chance, but like either one could have taken a game of the other guy, as far as I was concerned. I was just hoping for Jinro to make it through, so I was rooting for him. But like, I'm not convinced that he is the better player, or that Hydra is the better player. Or do you want me to actually give an opinion on the match itself?
On the match itself, yeah.
Kind of a weird build from Jinro with the. Did he do like 3 reactors on 4 barracks or something?
He ended up opening up with 3 reactors, indeed. He ended up opening 2 racks, I believe, which is really awkward on a map like Jungle Basin when fast expand is pretty much anything. Anyone does it every time, so it's interesting to see that not only did Hydra go pool first in a very late hatch, or well, not a very late hatch, but still a later hatch. Jinro going 2 racks it's not typical build order that you see on Jungle Basin at all.
Yeah,
the other maps though.
The moving out to the middle is kind of what you want to establish as Zerg. I don't know if you watched the live on 3 yesterday, but they actually had Hydra on, and he was also commenting that if you're a Zerg, like I don't play Zerg, but this is what he said: if you're a Zerg and you're playing first a turn on that map, once he gets the middle established, planetary fortress, couple of tanks, bunch of marines, it's very hard to break. And Jinro actually did that. I don't know, it felt a bit on the late side, but I guess that might not have mattered as much. And it looked very close. Like, it was kind of exciting seeing whether he could hold the middle. It was very close, and then the balance kind of tipped also with the excellent like raids on the side expansions. At one point, Hydra just took both of them at the same time because he had to cancel one. He had so many minerals that he could take both, and then he sent dropships to both of them, and they kind of tipped the balance. But it was very interesting to kind of watch that, to watch the skills like tip one way or the other.
Yeah, definitely. I gotta say though, Hydra indeed got his third up way before Jinro got his third up. His third was really late for Jinro, so still pulling it off in the end was quite impressive. Another thing I noticed that Jinro did is that he ended up making it very hard for Hydra to scout by just switching his buildings around. Just notice that he put his starport and his factory at the front, making it look like he had 2 extra racks. When was the overseer came by, he scouted 2 more racks, and suddenly in the middle of the main he's like, oh shit, he's on 4 racks, but or 5 racks even, but he was actually on 3 racks. I wonder.
And Nazgul actually told him that he shouldn't be switching stuff because of Ling run-bys, and that actually happened in the game versus Czech. But it did pay out for Hydra.
I see. Mavens, what were your thoughts on that matchup?
I mean, on TVC on Jungle Basin, you mean? But against Hydra or against Czech?
Against Hydra.
Well, it's like Hydra was ahead the whole time, but as soon as he got the middle expansion, there was really nothing he could do against it. So I mean, he's really getting the grip on the TVC on that map, because as soon as a Terran gets to middle, it's almost GG if the Zerg doesn't have all the other expansions up and running or something extraordinarily. But other than that, it was pretty much over after that second expansion.
I don't like Jungle Basin for that. Most maps, well, probably not all, but in 1v1 you both have 5 expansions. Well, not 5 expansions, 4 expansions, 5 bases. That's kind of what you had in Brood War and it's, I think, kind of what we need to go to with Starcraft II as well. And on Jungle Basin, you only have 4 on each side, so that makes it very hard to, you know, get a 5th or get a 4th base as a Zerg once Terran has that middle.
Yeah.
So yeah, the map is, you know, we can rip on the map again, but
yeah, to jump in there, we're not big fans of the map. I think not only just is there a problem once the Terran gets his 3rd, I think it's very hard for a Zerg to get their 3rd. And we actually saw that the General had some very successful. I think he forced a cancel at one point, or killed it actually. Ida's 3rd. Or
yeah, forced a cancel. I think a couple of times. I doubt Ida would let him kill the hatchery, but
it was actually hard to see because that was one of the things I was really upset about, the bad observing. Have you guys noticed that the observing was far better when Tasteless had and Artosis when they had the camera? I'm sorry, but the observer right now, I'm not happy with it.
I don't know. Sometimes they talk about stuff that the observer isn't showing, and sometimes the observer is noticing things that that Artosis and Nick, you know, Tasteless don't. Like, I don't know if you've seen the... Oh, I probably cannot talk about that. Hold on. Yeah, the one game on the one map between the one guy and the other one guy. Oh no, wait, that was yesterday. That was yesterday. I can say this. When Boxer built a nuke,
yeah,
the observer was like frantically hovering over it with his
oh my god,
mouse,
are you seeing this? He's pulling a nuke. He's pulling a nuke. It's so awesome. Oh.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that was the observer doing that, but you know, Tastosis didn't notice it. So it's kind of like, on the one hand, you're always going to get this, that one guy noticed one thing, the other guys noticed the other thing, and it's not too good to have that kind of discrepancy between the two players, or the two, you know, factors, whatever.
Yeah,
but on the other hand, I don't know.
Well, to be honest, the Koreans, you notice that there's 3 Koreans, right? In the back of the Tasteless and Artosis. One of them is just focusing on the camera, and he's actually sitting with the commentator so they can actually see what he's doing as well. And that's the problem with the English ones, because the Tasteless and Artosis is sitting together, and then the camera guy is sitting a little bit farther away, I think, or something.
I don't think the camera guy can actually understand them, what they're saying. So you actually see situations where Artosis and Tasteless will be talking about something which isn't on the screen at all.
That's good though, that they have their own computers to talk about, you know, to see stuff for us. It's the kind of like, you know, 3 people see more than 2 kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
And the observer will get better over time for sure. Like if you watched any Brood War, those observers were great. So the Koreans, you know, they know they know what's up, and this guy is new. At least, you know, that's what Tatus has been saying, and this guy is in training, so, you know, he'll get better. For sure. I'm not too bothered by it at the moment.
And to get back to something you mentioned earlier, Boxer building a nuke, that was actually Boxer versus Trickster, or Tester, as I guess we all used to know him. I think that matchup, if you're playing Protoss, is actually pretty educational as well. It shows you how easy it is to expand on Shakuras and you know, forget you actually have Blink and still win.
Oh, that game, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's I haven't seen all of it, unfortunately. Like, I watch when I can, but I can't always watch. And the end was a giant. Well, I guess he tried to do some kind of. Boxer tried to get some kind of arc, but Force Field screwed it up completely, and he lost. That was kind of that game. I don't know. It felt like, I don't know. I don't think that Boxer deserved that, losing to one field attack. But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes, I guess.
Yep, I think, you know, Trickster Tester did some things. He made some mistakes with his control and on the micro level. You know, he gave way too much away, but at the same time, you know, he allowed too much, I guess we should say. He allowed harassment from Boxer that he really shouldn't have. But at the same time, he showed us that with a very strong economy, very strong macro play, you can easily overcome that on a map like Shakira's.
Yeah, especially on Shakira's, where you do have your 6 bases to one side plus 2 middle bases. It's it's a very interesting kind of macro map, I guess. I don't think that he can be excused for, forgetting about his blink, but that kind of aggressive, expanding is a very good thing to see, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely. I gotta say,
Or just building
as a
15
Protoss
command
player,
center.
I think that's the message to watch. Sorry, Maven, what was that?
I mean, you can just build 15 command centers too. That works fine.
Yeah.
That is true.
That said, Maven, over the last week or so, any other matches that you are like, well, this is one you have to watch, or this is one you need to avoid like the plague?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of games I've been wanting to see just because of the names, but there's not one that I've seen that I've been like, oh, this is so good, except, of course, the TVT. So, not really, no.
Well, I'll throw one in. Nesty versus Xenia.
I have one.
Oh, hold on, go ahead.
Oh, it's not from Korean Starcraft though.
Oh, shoot anyway.
No, it's cool.
If we can finish up GSL first if you want.
Well, the thing is, we're running so long. We'll just finish up DSL with this. One match which you should absolutely not watch is Nesty versus Xenia. ZVZ, it shows how simple and uneventful ZVZ can really be. Purely decided by who expands first, and it was so boring to watch. Nesty versus Xenia, definitely do not watch. That said, I'm assuming the match that Fallout wants to really talk about is from the Black Dragon League.
Nope.
Oh, better yet. Then what
I
is it from?
I have to admit, I haven't watched any Black Dragon League yet. I know I told you I tried to, but I haven't gotten around to it. No, I think that the one series that people actually need to watch is Moro versus Kiwikaki from the Reddit Invitational. It was a best of 5. I can tell you it goes to 5 games. You won't be spoiled by that because they're all fucking good games. They were casted by Total Biscuit, who goes absolutely mental on it, and it's ZVP. There's games that go over 3/4 of an hour long, etc. Awesome series. Very high level play, and just if you want to see a good series, go watch that for sure.
Maven, I know you watched some Black Dragon League. Do you have a match from that you say, well, this was a really awesome series, or a match to watch, or one to avoid even?
Well, I can't really say. I mean, the only games I saw was like the Muslim versus Goody game, and that was like tanks everywhere. And then the Muslim went into Goody's tanks and it was GG. But other than the Black Dragon League, not really, no.
I see. Well, a match that was pretty good, I think, if you're into PvP. And you're like, what, PvP? What? That can't be a good matchup. That's always just pure build orders and see who executes best. Naniwa versus Elfie was actually a really good PvP series, which is kind of rare.
Oh, I actually did see part of that. It was the first match you did for Black Dragon League, wasn't it? Yeah, I did watch the game on Zelnaga, which I think was the first game.
It could well be.
I forgot.
If I clicked twice to watch up. No, actually it wasn't. First map was Scrap Station in Delta Quadrant and then Metalopolis.
Did they play on Zelnaga Caverns at all? Because I might be thoroughly confused if not.
I think you might be talking about Mana versus Elfie.
Oh yeah, maybe that's the one.
Which was pretty good
I
to
know
watch
that
as
Elfie
well.
was there. Okay, I'll
I
check
mean,
out the other one then.
Yeah, at a 14% win chance, so you have betting in the Black Dragon League. Elfie versus Mana. Elfie actually got 14% of the votes. Mana getting 85 and change there. He still beasted Mana 2-0. That's a huge upset. As much as I love Elfie, Elfie is awesome. I did not expect him to beat Mana, and definitely not 2-0. But yeah.
Sounds good.
Definitely check that one
Sounds
out
like
as well.
someone to watch out for then.
Okay. Full on. Any last words? Anything last minute you want to bring up?
Can I plug Wikipedia?
Yes, definitely. Of
Because-
course, Folon is from Liquipedia. He's the Liquipedian superhero, as I like to call him. Liquipedia, a great a resource for anything related to Starcraft II, pretty much. Players, I'm on Liquipedia, and all kinds of stuff. Full on, do your stuff. I'll show off the website while you do.
Well, we at the moment there's a lot of leagues going on, mainly GSL, and the Team Liquid Open, or the Team Liquid Opens combined with the Team Liquid Star League, and it's just a big job trying to keep all of that in current and up to date, and it's very easy to update. So if you watch a match and you get the result, you can you should try and update Wikipedia sometime, because it really helps us keeping stuff up to date.
Yep, if you want to find out that actually the energy regen,
Especially
on a
with
Raven,
ongoing tournaments that have matches every day.
yeah, if you want to see that a Raven actually has double the energy regen than any other Terran units, that's where you go, because then you find out.
A lot of good stuff there,
Yep, definitely.
for sure.
Maven, do you have any last words before you wrap up this show?
Well, of course I gotta say, check out Ghost of Gamers for your news. We're updating the site hourly. Also check out all our tournaments. We have HON tournaments right now going on. The finals coming up this Saturday, I think, between SK and Fnatic. And check out my Twitter, twitter.com/Mavencast. Should we take about Assembly? Or should we save that for
No,
another day?
no, Assembly not yet. Assembly is a teaser for next week.
Oh yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
That said, we are going to wrap up our show with this. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys had a good show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully we'll do it again next week. I likely do think that's going to be the case. So more LLL Weekly action coming your way down next Thursday. Thanks for watching.
See ya. Cheers.
Thank you and good night.